So, this is going to be interesting. So we're here, clearly, at Brighton Electric. We've got Josh Harrison, who's standing over there. Say hi, Josh.
Hello.
Who I'm sure you recognise from many other videos we've done here. Now, at NAMM this year, my very good friend, Matt Starr, introduced me to this company. Now, this is XVive, I think it's pronounced. And what they've got is they've got the system called the More You. And the idea of this is it's an all-in-one interface and personal monitoring system. So we thought, how are we going to demo this? We thought the best way to do it is to sort of recreate what it'd be like to use it in a rehearsal situation. We've got a laptop system with a DAW, really basic. We've got 3 of these units. This master unit here, each one has 2 inputs, so 2 mic pre's, 2 interfaces. It's also expandable with ADAT, so if you had a rig, you know, with like an 8 input, I think you can go up to like 24 ins with this. Either way, it's totally expandable, but we're starting with the basics. So we've got the XVive, and then we've got the 2X units. The way we've decided to do it, as a total kind of punk rock, could be in the garage kind of thing to do, is to go, and garage for the English people, is a kick, a snare, and an overhead. So we've got kick and bass on one unit, which kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because you're going to blend those 2 things together. And then we've got a snare and overhead on another one, and then guitar and vocals on the other one. So 6 inputs, and that's how we're splitting it up. It is simulating what would happen if they were in rehearsal and they wanted to record demos. So they can do their own individual blends for their mixes, and it's pretty awesome. This is Wrong Trousers, nothing to do with Wallace and Gromit.
Hello. Hello.
So we have on vocals, Tiger.
Roar.
On bass, Jai. Drums, George.
Bobby.
And Bobby on guitar.
Shredding it up.
What's kind of cool about this is like house kit, so House Ludwig kit. I was playing Bobby's guitar and I was like, this is really cool. And he's like, yeah, it was what, £90?
£90 from GAC, yeah.
£90. It is, who's it made by?
Jet.
Jet Guitars. Honestly, if you told me it was 4 times the price, I would not even blink. It's really plays beautifully. And it was 90 whopping pounds, so like $110. So God bless the new world we live in. 57 on, is that your Vox AC30 or is it?
No, it's
the Studios.
Electrics, yeah.
Yeah, what do you use yourself normally?
Normally a Vox, yeah. I used to have a little Vox kind of tube emulator thing that's broken now, long gone.
Okay, great. Well, not great that it's broken, but great that they've got an AC30 here.
Yeah, exactly. Blew up at a kid.
Vocals SM58.
Yeah.
just a DI on the bass, but remember this is a personal monitoring system, so they're able to play live. You can blend it. How's the mix for you with the kick and the bass together?
Perfect. I can, tweak it to my liking. It's good.
Nice. And then, last but not least, we have George here. So,
Hello.
we've got the D112, just the mic just inside there, inside the kick. We've got, I think it's an OC818, is that correct?
Yeah.
OC818, Austrian audio, and a 57 top. So really, really straightforward. Couldn't get much simpler. That could be any generic condenser. We just looked around and that's what was available. But you know, if you had an SM87 or anything cheaper, whatever it might be, we're going for kick, snare, mono overhead, bass DI, SM58 on a vocal, and a single 57 on a guitar. So all 6 inputs utilized. Tracking a song as a live track will probably give the singer the opportunity to do an overdub. Why not? But you can get the live take so you can hear the bleed as well. But I love the idea of this. I think it's a really cool idea to be able to have a personal monitoring system and an interface all in one, because then it solves the problem. You're not getting 2 sets of things. How many times have you been in a rehearsal studio where you can't hear yourself? Drummers particular. How many times have you been in a rehearsal without PA and just been like, I think my kick is playing? Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah. So now you can actually hear it. Because I always used to tell bass players, you know this trick when you're in a room and you can't hear yourself? Go up, stick your foot
On it.
yeah, and you just feel it through you, and then suddenly it's so much easier. Because otherwise you kind of like, I think he's there. Obviously in Brighton here they've got quite a few rooms with decent PA, so you can actually hear the kick. But there's nothing better. And I got that tip from Rocco Prestia, you know, Tower of Power, the late great Rocco Prestia. That's what he would do. He just would stand there with his foot and go and just feel the kicks. It's a great idea. So Josh, you patched this in. Can you take us through how it's patched in? This is presumably the master unit.
So yeah, exactly. So I think along what you were saying there, we were kind of going for as though we're in a rehearsal room, as though we're kind of be rehearsing and maybe recording the rehearsals. This is the master unit here, which has 2 XLR inputs on the front, which could be jack inputs as well. And essentially what this is allowing me to do is I can connect in the X2 units. So we've got 2 other X2 units, which we'll see across the room where other musicians are connected. And it allows me to get gain for every single independent channel that I've got plugged in. So for me, it's 6. But as well as that, it allows me to actually record and change the mix level for the band at the same time as well. So I can have like what we call like a global backing track mix, say 1 through 6. So I've taken the guitar down a bit because it was loud in the room, and a few other things I've tweaked. And then each musician has their own independent volume control, which they can kind of supplement in across 1 and 2. So for this case, it's the vocal and the guitar, which I can just add a bit more in if you need it.
So how does this connect? So basically, this is the master connecting.
USB,
and they are all daisy chained.
Yeah, USB interface, kind of standard USB-C connection. Is worth noting if you've got more than 1 X2 unit, you have to power the unit separately as well, but that's fine. Then they're all connected via a normal standard XLR cable.
So is it sending AES EBU?
I guess so.
Yeah.
And it powers it across that connection as well.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph, really?
All I've done is just pull out 5 XLR cables from the cupboard and just connected this one to that one, that one to that one, that one to that one, and made a loop. And now they're all powered and they're all transmitting audio.
That's awesome.
It's pretty crazy. I've never seen that technology be used in this way before, and it's so simple, doesn't require any fancy equipment.
Q 100 people below telling us that it's been done 1,000 times before.
Well, I haven't seen it before.
Nor have I, but but it's okay.
The other cool thing about this is that you've got phantom power, you've got a phase flip button, which you don't always have on interfaces, especially small ones like this. You've got an instrument button, a direct button, and a high-pass filter on every single channel that you've connected, so you've got a lot of flexibility and control there. Okay, so one of the other best things about this is it does have independent gain control across all of these channels and the mix control as well. The gain amount, you can control it via auto across each individual channel, so this channel, or all channels at once. So say you're like the producer of the band, you could actually get everyone playing, hit all channels at once, auto gain, and it will adjust the whole band gain levels like that in one moment, done, haven't got to worry about it and just move on. But if you don't want to do that, you do have incremental 1 dB digital VU gain control, so you can recall the gain settings. You know, if you come back to the rehearsal 2 weeks later, you go, oh yeah, The bass was actually on 24 dB, and you can just bring it back to that kind of guaranteed, which is really nice as well. Another amazing feature, we've got 2 headphone inputs on the front, so that's allowing 2 of the band members to monitor across. I've got independent headphone control here, as well as a set of monitors plugged into this main More You unit here. Something I haven't seen before much is every single unit has its own independent talk feature. So if you were in another room or far away from the artist or whatever, you could press this little talk button, it's this little silicon one on the top, and that would actually transmit this microphone in this little socket here to the rest of the band. So kind of you don't have to be shouting or taking your headphones off all the time. If you want to say something, you can just press that little button and communicate it really easily. Right now, this little headphone button here, I'm actually listening to the live mix of everybody. So I'm using this as a mixer and monitoring across it. Though if you wanted to use it more as just a kind of standard audio interface, you press that button and then your main output is listening to actually what's coming off the DAW rather than just the main live mix. The interaction of the unit, so how you control it, the user experience of it, there are these 2 main controls here. This one is for just moving across the channels or changing the mode from mix mode to gain mode. And then we have this one, which is actually kind of your incremental control across whatever it is you're doing, whether it's the faders in the mix mode or the gain pots in the gain mode. I'll be honest, I quickly scanned through the user manual. Didn't take me very long, maybe like 5 minutes or something. And then I just went for it and it's all worked really well. So it's had quite an easy time getting it all set up. Quite, what's the word? Intuitive, very intuitive system.
So what have we got there? We've got 1 and 2, that's the XLR inputs for the mic pre's.
Yep, so on this side over here, we have 2 microphone inputs, which can be mic inputs or instrument inputs or line inputs. Along here, we've got 2 headphone outputs. There's one on sort of mini jack and one on a standard more 1/4-inch jack headphone outputs. So we're using both of these. There's a little power button on the front as well. There's no connections on the side, which is nice. So if you had a few of them, you could actually just stack them in a nice long row if you wanted to. And then across the back, I've used almost everything here. We've got these are the link connections across the XLR format that I told you about a minute ago, where this is going from one unit out of this unit into the other unit and then receiving back into this XLR input here. Then we've got a USB for data, for the kind of USB interface to connect with the DAW, and we've got a power cable connecting it there. One of the things we haven't used today is the ADAT in across 1 to 8 here, but as we talked about earlier, if you wanted to expand this even further, you could connect an external 8-channel preamp across ADAT into this. These 2 TRS outputs here are for the monitors, so I've got a set of monitors behind me, just so after playback, the band can easily listen to what's going on in the room. And then there's 2 other tiny little mini jack connections here, which are actually MIDI over mini jack there. So MIDI in and MIDI out. You just have to get little adapters for those. But, you know, all the features that you could kind of really ever want in such a small little place are there.
So this is the 2X version, so let's get in close and have a look.
So across this unit here now, it looks quite similar to the main brain of the system. We've got 2 XLR or TRS inputs there. These are for our mics for the kick mic and the bass DI here. Then on the top, we have the overall headphone volume for your artist, so they can control that. And again, like I talked about earlier, this little silicon talk back button allowing you to communicate nice and easily across a larger space.
I love that idea.
It's so nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wish all headphone monitoring systems had this. This actually made me think that although they're marketing this to musicians, this could operate as a really effective headphone monitoring system in a studio because you could run it over XLR. So you could have it connect live room to control room just across normal tie lines, which is madness. And then at the top here, we have a mix or volume control for both A input and B input. So across this right now is operating the volume, the extra volume being sent to these 2 headphone outputs for the kick mic. And this is the extra volume control for the bass channel, which is plugged into B here. Again, just for these 2 headphone outputs. Really quite flexible. It does take a little bit of thinking, but you know, you've got so many options. And there is also an opportunity to add reverb. We haven't put reverb on our kick and bass in this example, but you can blend it in just for your own monitoring.
Can have the reverb, the kick in the chamber.
Yeah, exactly. And then across the back, just a quick one. This is just the sync cables, the XLR synchronization cables across the system here, in and out.
So basically daisy chain. So it comes into this one first from the master unit and then goes over to Bobby over here on guitar. And then this is being shared between Bobby on guitar and vocals, yes?
Actually, this one here is the snare top and overhead.
Oh, okay.
So that's what this one is being used for. There's no headphones coming out of this unit. This is just to be recording the snare top and the overhead.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Just, yeah, nobody really needed to hear that so much because it's so loud in the room. And then, yeah, it's looping from there into the main unit here.
Excellent. So yeah, so this is the individual gain controls for every single unit.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty amazing. It just connects over XLRs.
I know, yeah. It's so easy.
Yeah, and there's also something substantial about plugging in an XLR cable rather than like a little piddly kind of, is a USB?
Yeah, USB cables that just slip out, an XLR that's locking in. It feels so much more stable.
At the moment, there's no real mix-up. What we do have is compression and EQ that was placed on the vocal when we were doing some overdubs.
Marble ashes, cobblestone.
That was a lot of low end considering.
A little bit down.
Marble ashes, cobblestone. The Queen hasted when the Game was Thrones. The marble ashes.
Quite possibly a bit more aggressive on the compression even.
Marble ashes, cobblestone. The Queen hasted.
It's great. It just makes me think of like 1980, 1978.
The marble ashes, cobblestone. The Queen hasted when the Game was Thrones. The marble ashes.
Just on first listen, all I'm really hearing is just obvious things like doing a bit of high passing on the electrics just for the sake of it. For any low end we don't need, probably a little bit more aggressive high passing on the lead vocal, and then tiny bit more snap on the kick, but it's pretty tasty. I mean, it's great. Just D112, you know. People love to hate on them. I don't know why. Have a quick check. So, yeah, phase-wise, it's actually not bad. I mean, technically, we could delay the snare top so it's exactly the same, but honestly, it's not bad at all. I mean, I like the sensitivity of some of the kind of lower stuff on the snare, but at the same time, I also miss it not being quite so prevalent. So if I get something generic, which in Pro Tools would always be this, the most generic compressor ever made. Doesn't sound anything like a LEM 76, but looks like it. So all I'm doing is using a slightly slower attack time. So let the initial hit, fastest release time fall to the right. Let's go to some toms. Here, I think. The only thing is it's bringing up the hat a little bit too much. We're getting about 3-4 dB of gain reduction. Let's have a listen to the top. What's really wanting to do is take some of those smaller hit snares and just let them breathe, get all the way through with an extra 3 dB of gain, and then get like 3 to 4 dB of gain reduction on the main snare. Let's have a listen now. Going for a kind of Gang of Four Talking Heads thing, it's like, do you make it the drums really, really super dry for a 70s kind of thing, late 70s, or do we give it a bit of verb? As part of me wants a little bit of verb on the snare just to give it a little bit more space. It's nice mixing it all in one, so you hear all the drums together rather than doing individual elements. It's amazing once you put everything together, how much more aggressive you get on EQ. Like all this subtlety, and then suddenly like, I want to hear the click of the kick.
The marble arches, the cobblestone, the queen hearted when the game was thrown. The marble arches, the cobblestone, the queen hearted when the game was thrown.
A bit of verb on the snare, which is, there you go, medium room 1.
The marble arches, the cobblestone.
So I just Abbey Roaded it, did the Abbey Road EQ, just took out the lows, took out the high highs, and just made the verb only about the mid-range, so it's really just catching the snare hits.
The marble arches, the cobblestone, the queen hearted when the game was thrown. The marble arches, the cobblestone, the queen hearted when the game was thrown.
So I think my only other next thing to make this super, super simple is just to probably contain these little.
Marble arches, the marble arches, the marble arches, the marble arches, the marble arches.
Nothing like having a vocal soloed, is there?
Marble arches, marble arches, marble arches,
And hearing them over and over again by some idiot.
marble arches, 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 marble arches. The marble arches, the cobblestone.
So who's right? There's a lot of different the.
The marble arches, marble arches.
What we're going to do is going to make an executive decision here, and we're actually going to get rid of the word the from the backgrounds so that it lines up better.
The marble arches, the cobblestone, the queen hearted. The marble arches.
One thing I might do, quite frankly, and I do this a lot, is just, but this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to turn that up. Gain this.
The marble arches, the cobblestone, the queen hearted when the game was thrown. The marble arches, the cobblestone, the queen hearted when the game was thrown. The marble arches, the cobblestone, the queen hearted when the game was thrown. The marble arches, the cobblestone, the queen hearted. The queen hearted when the game was thrown. The queen hearted when the game was thrown. The marble arches. The queen hearted. The queen hearted. The queen hearted when the game was thrown. The queen hearted when the game was thrown. The queen hearted when the game was thrown. The marble arches. the cobblestone. The marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones. The marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones. They signed the armistice, who a muffled drone, the last wounded soldier, not all alone. They signed the armistice, who a muffled drone, the last wounded soldier, not all alone. The marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen Hasted.
I love this guitar tone.
The marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones. The marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones.
So I'm just going to create a little drum bus. What I'm going to do is duplicate that. Let's throw the reverb in there just for the heck of it. So I'm deciding, I mean, I can use this to increase the transients or destroy the crap out of it. So let's just destroy the crap out of it. Here's the exaggerate the transients. So slower attack time, more transient. What I frequently do is this, which is duplicate it again and go, here's the destroy the crap. Blend it into a softly done one. Adds energy to it. And then go for the transient. So I've got the SSL pap, pap, pap. Blend those two together. Then put the not so destroyed one in. And then if you want to get really, really silly, create a bus of a bus. So this is my drum master bus now. That'll give me more control because now the drums are going to be significantly louder than everything else. so much better because you hear all the kind of energy in there and the transients at the same time. My favourite plugins for bass are R-Bass, but also MV2, which is like God's gift to.
When the Game of Thrones. The marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones. The marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones. They signed the armistice with a local drone.
Yeah, I really like it. I think all that's left really is to decide what to do with the vocals, maybe a little bit of effect on it. Just going to create a little subgroup of the two vocal tracks.
Marble ashes, the cobblestone.
I'm just going to treat those two the same.
Marble ashes, the cobblestone. The Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones. The marble ashes, the cobblestone. The Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones. Marble ashes, the cobblestone. Marble ashes, the cobblestone. The Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones. The marble ashes, the cobblestone. The Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones.
All right, I have no problem with compressing this more aggressively. I'm using Chris's CLA's CLA 76. If Chris was doing this, he'd probably slap an L1 across it. So let's L1 it across it. Why the heck not? I don't usually do this, but we'll do it.
The marble ashes, the cobblestone. The Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones. The marble ashes, the cobblestone. The Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones. They signed the armistice with a local drone. The last wounded soldier, not all alone. They signed the armistice with a local drone. The last wounded soldier, not all alone. The marble ashes, the cobblestone. The Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones. The marble ashes, the cobblestone.
Now, for more detailed work, because we weren't compressing on the way in, you could actually literally get in there syllable by syllable and just even out some of the more dynamic elements of the vocal. Let's put an L1 across the backgrounds, not really to destroy them into it, but just to get rid of some of the peakiness.
Marble ashes, the 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 cobblestone. The Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones. The marble ashes, the cobblestone. The Queen Hasted when the Game was Thrones.
You've got effects on the vocal on this one. It's like it's called dry, but I think it'll get old quickly. Maybe a tiny bit of room, not too crazy. It's got to feel like what it is, doesn't it? It's got to feel like a live performance in a small space. So sending from the vocal sub, come out on 12.
Marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen hearted when the Game was Thrones.
Oh yeah, we're going to get out of studio tape. It's all too nice and too perfect. Echoplex, I have one at home.
Marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen hearted when the Game was Thrones. And the marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen hearted when the Game was Thrones.
So what's that?
Marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen hearted when the Game was Thrones. And the marble ashes, the cobblestone.
Great. I think a little short reverby. You know, sometimes you can go mono on the verb, but I think I'll go mono. I'll just go narrow.
The marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen hearted when the Game was Thrones. And the marble ashes, the cobblestone. The marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen hearted when the Game was Thrones. And the marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen hearted when the Game was Thrones. The marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen hearted when the Game was Thrones. And the marble ashes, the cobblestone, the Queen hearted when the Game was Thrones. I won't throw you a bone.
I think it's one of those, if I was going to do the backgrounds, maybe a little delay into reverb or something like that. We haven't done that yet.
I won't throw you a bone, but
That's kind of cool.
I won't.
So that should be multi-mono. Nope, I'm going to make it multi-mono. The reason I'm doing multi-mono is I want to delay it and flip them opposite each other. Because multi-mono means I can pan the left to the left and the right to the right. There's no like blend. You know, we have a room and you sing on the right-hand side of the room. It's still going to blur, you know, be in the left as well. But if you do multi-mono, if you pan it to just that one side, that's where it stays. So multi-mono, now I'm flipping left and right around. So the left-hand channel will have delay in the right, and the right-hand channel will have delay in the left.
But I won't throw you a bone.
Make it a bit narrow, so Abbey Road it.
But I won't throw you a bone.
Degrade it a bit.
But I won't throw you a bone.
Right, a bit more like a crappy old tape machine, which is what we want. And then let's grab a verb.
But I won't throw you a bone. But I won't throw you. What could I say? You stole my love away. I won't throw you a bone. What could I say? You stole my love away. I won't throw you a bone. The Queen hearted when the Game was Thrones. The marble arches, the cold stone. The Queen hearted when the Game was Thrones.
So download the multi-tracks. You can have some fun with it because it's not cut to a click. It is a live performance. We'll consolidate all the files. There's only a couple of edits in it, as you can see. Mix to your heart's content. And I think generally speaking, I like the pre's. I haven't thought anything about it other than this just sounds like a proper recording. So the quality of the mic pre's is great. The interface, I mean, we were up and running in an hour?
An hour.
Yeah, like an hour from never using this before. So, yeah, well, I'm pretty dumb. He's smarter than me, so he got it figured out quicker. But no, yeah, like an hour from unboxing to recording.
Yeah, it's super intuitive.
Yeah, very intuitive, and I think it's aimed at that market. You know, if you're a band in a rehearsal room, you know, we ended up with only 3 mics on the kit, of course. We had the kick, snare, and mono overhead. So I suppose if you had a fourth one, a third satellite, you could put a couple more mics on the kit, which might be preferable, at least like a stereo overheads. And then you have kick, snare, stereo overheads. But generally speaking, I mean, 6 inputs with those 3 units. Of course, if you've got an ADAT interface, something like, you know, the Evo, I think it's called the SP8, you know, you just plug in the ADAT and you've got 8 inputs. And that with just one of the units is going to give you 10. So, but it's expandable up to 24 maximum. So that's pretty awesome. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to download the multi-tracks below. Leave us any comments and questions, and we'll see you all again very soon. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, adios, and chesh, and tschüss.